TWM podcast.
Hello and welcome to TWM Talks. I am Matty Deller, and this week we will be reviewing last night's pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell 2019, in case you didn't realise what year it was. One of the hottest characters in a while for the WWE in the main event against one of their finest workers in one of their most iconic gimmick matches. What could possibly go right?
Hey, don't you mean wrong?
This is a TWM podcast, one part of your 6 podcasts, bringing you content daily from every corner of the wrestling world, available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, TuneIn, Podbean, YouTube, and wherever else you get your pods. And we couldn't do that without our good friends at squaredcirclebox.com, bringing you the only place that matters when it comes to your monthly wrestling swag goodness. For just £25 a month, you can get all the best wrestling goodies. And for being a fan of TWM, if you use the code TWM News, you can get 10% off your first order at squaredcirclebox.com. I have mentioned my name and my esteemed co-host you would have heard a minute ago. He is one half of Smack Talk. He is one part of Best of the Rest on a Friday. He's pretty much become my podcasting wife because we are on every single podcast together. It is Joseph. Hello there.
I have questions.
About me calling you a podcasting wife or Hell in a Cell?
Also about the fact that you forgot to introduce me as your champion?
That belt at the moment, it's like, I don't want to compare you to Enzo Amore, but it's basically, we're having a bit of a time trying to figure out what to do with the Premonitions belt. So it's kind of, you have it, but we've not figured out how to get it back on TV yet. So... Yeah. Don't worry, just you'll get in time. You'll get in time. You'll eventually resurface. But soon come. We're still starting off this daily.
Let me know when I can bring it out in public again, and we're good.
It's fine. Don't worry. You haven't done anything wrong. You are literally the anti Enzo Amore. But I don't want to keep mentioning his name. Yeah, that was the nicest thing I've ever said to you. Anyway,
just considering all of the things that Enzo Amore is, it's like the one thing that's blurring in my mind is untalented. It's great.
Yeah. You're a good rapper.
Wow.
Anyway, we know this is going to be a race to talk about the main event, but there is a fair few bits to talk about. The opening match on the main show, which me and Joe have spoken about off-pod, was brilliant. So I really want to talk about that. But we start off with the kickoff show, and I imagine Joe has not watched the kickoff show because he's not a maniac.
I don't watch kickoff shows because I'm not a maniac, and I don't watch 205 Live because I'm not a fed.
We open with Natalya defeating Lacey Evans. The start of this show was something confused me because Natalya comes out. You know, she does the thing where she stands with the fans. Is like, yeah, I'm a face. And this time there was a teenager in like a Heart Foundation like hoodie or jacket thing, and they did the thing like I've never seen him do before, where he actually got his phone out and they took a selfie. It could have been a plant. I don't know, but his reaction afterwards was to wait about 2 seconds for Natalya to move out of his way, and then just turn around and just go, yeah, as loud as he possibly can. It genuinely was hilarious, but I also imagine incredibly unnerving for Natalya to have someone get that excited over having a selfie.
It's like getting excited about getting a photo with an Avenger and it turns out it's Jeremy Renner.
I was going to say it's like getting a photo. Those photos were like, oh my god, I can't believe I met Rod Stewart. And it's like a 50-year-old woman from Glasgow.
Oh, what? Like the movie that Jackson Riker was in, where the woman is just like, on our hall pass list is Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah. And it's the
at a petrol station.
Yeah,
they spend a wonderful evening together, and then she sleeps with him. And the husband's just at the end of the story, like, I'm really happy that you met someone that looked that much like Denzel Washington, but
it's not Denzel Washington.
Why was he at a filling station? What kind of car did he have? Why is Denzel Washington driving an estate? If you guys went to the club together, why were you just in the club and not in VIP? What kind of house did Denzel Washington have? a condo. Exactly. It's not Denzel Washington.
Brilliant. Natalya and Lacey Evans do some wrestling, and there's some slapping of the buttocks to open. Natty locks in a sharpshooter, but Evans goes to the outside. Evans has a quick kick and throws Natty into the steps, hurting her knee. Lacey then works the knee, and Vic Joseph comes out with the line of, "That would be rubbing insult into the face of Natalya." What? What does that even mean?
Watch out for it, but he does that a lot.
What? Confusing his idioms?
He mixes his idioms a lot.
Yeah, but this isn't like... I understand mixing two together, but this was like an idiom cocktail. He mixed about 3 different idioms in one. This was a Long Island iced idiom.
Like, as a guy who knows cocktails, that's quite a cocktail. Not a particularly good one. Also,
no, I always get it. You know why? And it might be that I shouldn't really base my cocktails on this. It is the maximum amount of alcohol for usually the cheapest price. Normally, a Long Island iced tea, you get the most amount of alcohol in. It's usually about £9 compared to some of the other ones. So, it's Matty's cocktail tips for you there. Lacey goes for the sharpshooter, but Natty slaps her off. Lacey keeps cutting Natty off of the pass, goes for the moonsault, but eats it because she bats 1,000 for that turnaround moonsault. Natty locks on the sharpshooter for the submission. This was barely a Raw match, but it's there. Post-match, Natty forearms and knocks out Lacey Evans. So we're having a last woman standing match on Raw, because of course we are.
Makes no sense.
It's purely because the woman's right and the fact that Natty knocked her out post-match. That's literally it.
This entire thing should have been a submission match on the main show.
Yeah, because you had the probably the reason they didn't do that is they didn't have Lacey introduce a submission of her own.
No, but that's the point. Yeah, just have it be a shoot about the sharpshooter. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the reason they're doing it is so Lacey can win. To be honest, if it's a submission match, I'd say, or a sharpshooter match. If it's a submission match, then everyone's just going to be like, well, if Natalya doesn't win, it's stupid. But then again, WWE don't do horrible booking, do they?
Stupid decision on the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Man.
Wonder if we're going to see one of them this evening. Sarah Schreiber interviews Ali about him being a bit shit lately. He cuts a pretty simple face promo about getting up and getting a chance in the WWE draft, but he's interrupted by Randy Orton. Orton revels in stopping Ali's momentum, and Ali challenges him. So we have a match later on tonight because they booked this show an hour before the kickoff show, because that's how all good shows are booked, on the fly an hour before. Kayla Braxton, I did like this. When she interviews Eric Rowan, she acts legit terrified of him. She's like proper trembling in her voice, and it's really nice acting because it puts over Eric Rowan as being legitimately scary.
And it's really good character work and attention to detail. Look, I give credit where credit is due. Roman Reigns walking to interview about his plans for SummerSlam.
Yeah, at least she's consistent. Who was the one that was really scared by... It might actually been Kayla as well, when Lars Sullivan... Like, she was scared to interview Lars Sullivan.
Kayla as well, yeah.
Yeah, Kayla's very good.
Hi,
like,
Kayla!
Hi, that's all anyone remembers, but she's actually a tremendous interviewer as well. Yeah, so he got a promo about losing the battle to Roman Reigns but winning the war. We then see a really cool video package for the opener where it's like from the perspective of the Cell. Where it's like, I am 2 decades, like really, really cool. But then they cut to after that, they're like, welcome to Hell in a Cell. Just a shot of a crying child. If they had that at the end of the show, it would have made sense. But the start of the show was just foreboding more than anything. Opening contest. Becky Lynch over Sasha Banks inside Hell in a Cell to retain the Raw Women's title. Joe, this was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not old with the winner.
Yeah, but they, like, irregardless, I felt like by the end of it, the way this match went, I didn't really care who won.
This was a really... You know, you don't really have much to choose from here. This is the best women's Hell in a Cell match that we've seen.
out of 2, it is 2, 3. Is it 2 Hell in a Cell matches we've had with women, or 3?
It was a thing. There's been one before, and Sasha's been in it. Sasha knows what it takes. Becky, how are you going to beat Sasha?
Some reason in my head I thought it was 3, but it's not. Anyway, yeah, this is the best one, and it's the best one by some distance. In all fairness, the Sasha Charlotte one, they were hampered by just bad luck with the world's worst table. Pardon?
Sasha Banks says, "Oh yeah, I'll take all the spots for your table," not realizing she weighs as much as my laptop charger.
This one they got it right though. They got all of it right. Sasha jump starts the match for the cell lowers, and they start fighting on the outside. They suplex her on the ramp. Sasha gets cocky, and then Lynch just boots the door in her face. Becky grabs the chain to lock the door before it's locked. And works over the ribs and back of Banks, which is actually I've never seen that. Like, there's a lot of unique spots in this match, and I've never seen someone grab the chain as they're about to lock it up to use it as a weapon. I thought it was a really nice little spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, you missed the fact that she wrapped it around her fist.
Yeah, she didn't just swing it wildly, but
I just started using it like she was regal.
Yeah, loved it. She then yeets Banks around the cage some more. Becky gets some plunder, but then Banks takes her down with a steel chair. There was a lot of chair to head and face shots in this pay-per-view, and this is where it started, because like Lynch yeets the chair back in Banks' face, and then Banks goes for multiple pin attempts because she's a heel, and she realised she was in way over her head at one point, so she wanted to get out of the match as quick as possible. Lynch then bashes Sasha's face off a chair, but then Banks kicks out of the chair arm her, and then kicks the chair back into Lynch's face. Then we get the first of ridiculous spots. This one was probably the most uncomfortable one to watch. Second most uncomfortable one to watch, actually. Banks hitting the Meteora into the ladder, and Lynch's neck just crumpling into one of the ladder rungs. Great spot. Looked nasty. And then we get another really cool spot, which I imagine they can't do because, and this isn't a slight, is the fact that the men probably can't fit their arm through the gap of that door because bigger. So they can do this bit where Banks gets the gap of the door on the chain, puts Lynch's arm in it, and just slam. And we've seen this before, especially during NXT heel Sasha when she'd wrestled Bayley. How like she can look vicious, and the fact she's just over and over again slamming that door into Becky's arm was just loved it. Really, really good.
I want to know the moment when I fell in love with women's wrestling. It's a really weird one. It was at an NXT takeover. Please don't question me on which one. It was before Sasha Bayley, because Sasha was champ. She was defending 1-on-1 against Charlotte. But they basically tied each other in knots. And I was like, look, women's wrestling could be legit, and it could be a legit draw on its own, as long as they leverage the physical differences between, like, dickhead, just stating a fact, physiologically, men and women are slightly different. If you leverage the physical advantages, because there are some on both sides of the scale of both. Time,
yeah, you're all right. Lynch, we get a chair Meteora for a near fall after Sasha works the arm. Lynch does a soul butt into the chair, a drop kick, and Sasha flies into the cage. We then get a Beck Explosion Shell, and then we get, probably, this is the bit that this made me cringe, because I felt there's so much margin for error that could have gone horribly wrong. Sasha Banks does a drop down and then a bulldog onto an upside down chair, as in the legs are up. So they hit the generally I had to look away, because I was like, one wrong move and that's going in someone's eye. I was
Lynch to Sasha.
Was it Lynch to Sasha, or was it? I thought it was either way. It was nasty.
Also, it displays their skill, and kudos to both women.
Yeah, like that. The margin for error there was great on that. So kudos. Lynch then does a drop kick into Banks holding a chair for a near fall. Banks then kendos up Lynch, and we get. I said this is probably the most unique Hell in a Cell spot I have ever seen.
Yes.
This was so well done. I love this. So they Sasha puts like loads of kendo sticks between the cell, and then props a chair up in between, and then, like any good person that's building something, puts another kendo stick through the chair so it's solid. And then Becky sits Sasha Banks up on the chair so she's elevated off the ground, and then there's a running drop kick off the apron, and Sasha goes back first into the cage and comes off. Generally one of the coolest spots I've ever seen.
Is the coolest Hell in a Cell spot I've seen since the Usos New Day.
What, Is it the one with basically
there are a few spots in that where I was like, not many people can do this again, you know.
It was my favorite one from that is the game with the kendo sticks. It's basically they're making a saw prison with the kendo sticks, which I love that spot.
Yeah. Also the Xavier Woods handcuff. Oh my goodness, Vince, what are you doing booking a lynching? And
oh, I remember us talking about that and how awkward that actually was as well. Becky, it's a leg drop for a near fall. Banks is a very nasty backstabber. Then it's a Meteora for a table for a near fall. Kendo assisted Banks statement. Becky rolls out, hits the kendo on Banks. Lynch gets yeeted through a stuck out chair, which was stuck into the cell. I do like how they're bringing that in there, where they're sticking weapons into the cell.
No, but like she did it so early, I was like, haha, Chekhov's chair.
Yeah, it was going to happen eventually. Sasha then throws in a million of chairs, and most of them hitting poor Becky on the way in. She generally was like throwing him, going, I'm just going to make sure all of these hit you as often as possible. Slide one in, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Here's one in the head, fuck you. Oh, poor Becky. And then, again, Chekhov's chairs this time, because it comes back and bites her in the arse. Beck slowed her onto a chair pile. Disarmer. The only reason I have no problem with this finish is the way the Banks was desperate. Pulling Becky's hair, trying to get out of it, trying to grab a chair to basically swing anything at her, and eventually then tapping out. Absolutely fantastic match. Probably one of the best women's matches this year. And ironically, the apex of this entire pay-per-view was the opening match.
Was all downhill from here. So many chairs around. I reckon Sasha could have twatted Becky, but like, you know what? Fine. They stole the show. Probably, but this is with hindsight and knowing what follows. This should have main evented.
It should have. It should have been the main event. But alas.
And if you're going to do what you did later...
Imagine if they open the show... Yeah, if you're going to do what you did later, number one, don't do that.
That's my option, and have this main event. Or number two, if you're going to do it, open the show with it and then like build to something better.
Yeah, I guess. Unless they've all worried the crowd was going to shit all over the rest of the show. Then we go to the tornado tag match between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan as they defeat...
It made a tornado tag match?
During that hour before the pre-show.
Fuck's sake.
They went over Harper and Rowan because they imagined that WWE fans, one, are idiots, which we'll talk about in the main event, and two, they think WWE fans watch everything they do rather than... put it on the TV shows. They did not. If they had a big preview, they could have had 30 seconds on Fox. Be like, oh, by the way, these matches are happening on Hell in a Cell.
24/7 champion is? Check YouTube.
Oh, Christ on a bike. All four brawl to open. This was actually a really fun match, I will give them that. Bryan hitting a big missile dropkick and a dive to the outside, with Harper seemingly hurting his knee, which plays into the rest of the match. Reigns went for the Superman, but then Harper hits a super kick as the heels take control. Keeping Bryan from the save, the former Bludgeon Brothers twat Reigns with the steel steps. The heels work over Bryan. Rowan hits a spin wheel kick for a near fall. What's he going to say, Joe?
Love that you've got them as the Bludgeon Brothers in your notes.
Well, he's quicker than Ryan Harper and Rowan, so I just put down Bludgeon Brothers, or BB for short. Doomsday denied by Reigns. Bryan gets a victory roll for a near fall. The heels take control until Bryan hits a few corner kicks and they attack Harper's knee. Yes, kicks, Roman drive by, but Harper fires out and dives at Reigns. They then start wrecking shit on the outside, hit the slingshot into the lip of the LED board on Bryan. They hit a slam and then slam on Reigns. They go for the powerbomb off a table through a table, and we get... I do love all these spots when they come off. Well, Bryan hits a Rana off the table, which is a nice little spot, and then Reigns hits a beautiful running spear across two tables going through the third. I think Roman was taking a bad fall because he was clutching his knee for a while, and I thought, well, hopefully he's not injured. But it turns out he wasn't. A second Bryan Rana gets counted into a Harper super bomb for a near fall. Luke Harper then just starts giving Daniel Bryan half and half suplexes over and over again, but the third one Bryan flips out of, and then the synergy of the finish at the end I loved because he flips
really slick.
flips out of the half and half, ducks under distance clothesline. Roman slides in, Superman punch. He's dazed. Bryan goes to the running knee. Boom. Doesn't make the running knee look weak because Luke falls back into the ropes. So it's not as if he stood up and was like, "Oh, I'm not falling down to this move." He fell into the ropes. Roman comes in, spear. Really fun match, and then Bryan and Roman hug it out at the end of the show. I'm intrigued where they go with Daniel Bryan as a face. Because I don't want them to. I don't want them to go immediately back to yes man Daniel Bryan. I would like them to kind of have him almost keep a bit of the Planet's Champion thing, but in a face sense.
I think he'll probably lobby for that himself. Yeah. I wasn't sure about the winner of this match, but then thinking about the finish, it looked like a monster, didn't it? He took 3 finishes to put him down.
It took 3 finishes to put him down, so he looked like a beast. So
the Rowan's protected.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy they're pushing.
This is true. We didn't get to Randy Orton over Ali. This was fun as well. Ali was in control early on. Orton yeets him off the top rope and then starts doing all this announce table stuff. Ali again gets yeeted into the ring post. Orton chinlock. Yes.
Oh, surprise.
Ali fights back with a drop kick, dive to an outside, and the rolling X Factor for a near fall. Ali misses a 450, but lands on his feet, goes for a second 450 after a DDT, and eats it. We then get a spot I've seen a million times on the Indies, but now they're doing it in WWE, so it's great to see, because it's a spot that needs to be done especially for this move. So Ali counters the RKO with a handstand. And obviously, everyone in WWE loses their shit, because it's like never been seen before, and I'm like, I've seen it a bunch of times, but it is an awesome spot because it's so clever to be like, well, if you're going to drop me face first, I'm going to put my hands down. Duh. So, Ali then goes to the rolling X Factor and gets hit with an RKO for the win. I like this match. Again, I do worry that Ali's becoming a bit of a jobber to the stars.
Like, I've seen that a lot of people really want Ali to take the belt off Brock. Unless they're... I heard stuff.
I love Ali. Ali is one of my legit favourite wrestlers over the last 18 months, but there's no fucking way that's happening.
But the story's there, to be fair.
This is true.
You know, like, rah, 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 let's do this. Anyway.
It's just... I love you. I think you're the last person that keeps bringing up the "let's do this" because it became a running joke between me, you, and Dan.
No, why am I the last person who keeps bringing up "let's do this"? It's so shit.
I know. That's why the one reason they brought Paul back. That, and you know this feeling you're feeling, John. I'm feeling this feeling.
I didn't say it at an appropriate time because we're trying to get through this to get the main event. But Michael Cole actually said something really cool during the Tornado tag match. He said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They are 5 forged friends as they stand in the mouth of hell. Or something like that. And I was like, that's incredible imagery.
Yeah, no, I can't...
Vince must have been in the loo.
Triple H snuck on and went to say this lie. Malro's there just screaming, "Shut hip-hop references, shut hip-hop references." This podcast, and indeed all TWM podcasts, are brought to you by SquaredCircleBox.com, the only place for your monthly wrestling box needs. With things from superstars from WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, British Wrestling, Independent Wrestling, and loads more, it is the only place that matters if you want to get the best wrestling swag for a low, low price. That low, low price is just £25, people. What a bargain! And you can get snapbacks, t-shirts, magazines, DVDs, trinkets, whatchamacallit, doodads, you name it, they have it each and every month. And just because you listen to TWM, you sexy, sexy people, you get 10% off your first order. All you got to do is use the code TWM News in the checkout. Just use the code TWM News in the checkout for 10% off your first order at SquaredCircleBox.com.
why not spread? I said, why not spread the gospel of the TWM squad with some of our lovely merch over at Teespring? We have t-shirts for all shapes and sizes, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and loads more. Also, just for listening to this podcast, you can get 10% off your order. I said using the code podcast. That's podcast. Once again, podcast in the checkout for 10% off at teespring.com/stores/TWM-wrestling-merch. That's right. Praise. Testify.
Then we get the women's tag title match as the Kabuki Warriors defeated Bliss and Cross to win the belts. This would have been fine if it had one of those things. What is it? A story! A reason why the Kabuki Warriors were heel for whatever reason.
You know what? They clearly don't care about the belts. Not gonna care about the story. Honestly, I thought that the better story to do would have been Sane getting pinned for the third time in their third title match against the same opposition and Asuka turning on her.
That would have been better, but they seem to have gone, we'll start a story where the Kabuki Warriors are now heel for no reason. They work fine as heel team. I have no problem them being a heel team. However...
I'm not sure that Kairi Sane is heel, but I think that's just because it's Kairi Sane, and I'm like...
Oh, no, I think the way she was, like, being very busy, and also the way she sarcastically did the march for the sliding D was very, very cool. If you just deck her out in basically
actually called the sliding D.
Yeah, it always Mauro Ranallo calls it the sliding D because Eddie Kingston calls it the sliding D. And now
Eddie Kingston called it the sliding D.
I don't know, but Ranallo's made it canon.
It makes sense for Kairi Sane to call it a sliding D.
Yeah, it's just became canon because Mauro Ranallo said it. If I'm honest, that's literally the only reason I could think of. Yeah, so Kairi Sane knocks Bliss off the apron to work over Nikki Cross. Every time I read Kairi Sane's name, I want to say Sane, but that's football's fault. That is literally football's fault. Asuka and Cross keep Alexa at bay. Bliss and Cross fight back. They do the apron spot, and then Bliss hits a baseball slide, which looked fucking nasty because Asuka had nowhere to go. So she just ate two boots to the face, or back of the head rather. Kabuki Warriors hit Bliss with a kick and then work her over with ankle locks and half crabs as Bliss rolls out of it, gets a hot tag. Kairi Sane goes for the insane elbow, but I love this. Nikki Cross gets the knees up and they go, knees into the ribs. No, she got knees right up her ass.
Up.
She bounced off and was immediately holding her anus, like in pain. Twisted Sister for a near fall. Bliss takes out Kairi Sane with a cannonball, but in the ring, Asuka busts out Green Mist. It kind of barely comes out of her match. Like she just about gets it. She didn't full on get it. Yeah. I feel like half the whether she had the condom in her mouth with the thing or just had the thing in her mouth, like half it ended up dribbling down her face, which looked really cool. I'm not gonna lie, but she didn't get all of it. But it was still a nice little spot. If they're gonna let Asuka, this cannot be a one and done thing. Asuka needs to constantly be doing the Green Mist now.
Well, I don't know. Like there's a really cool character moment that's come out today of Asuka saying if really talking about Nikki Cross.
Okay.
Around Last Man Standing times.
Yeah.
That quote is something along the lines of, sorry, I would have pulled it up, but you know.
Well, you can paraphrase.
If I meet an opponent that is too strong for me, I'll probably have to break out the mist. So it really, really puts Nikki Cross over low key.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. If now they're WWE like, well, you should remember this promo from NXT, then it would have all made sense. No, you need to give us context.
This is the thing. I do this for them constantly. Just hire me, please. Anyway,
hire you to go around and give exposition to everyone.
Just hire me to your writing team so you don't have to.
Fair enough. Then we got Viking Warriors and Braun Strowman defeating the OC by disqualification. This was an okay Raw match.
Well, if you're not, once you announce 4 matches and then announce is the hour before, you've got to get a bunch of Raw matches.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman just barely makes sense.
It's literally so they could hype the Tyson Fury thing. Literally, that's it. The OC and Viking Warriors were not going to be on the show if they didn't have Braun Strowman in it. Bottom line.
People that would have made more sense include Cedric Alexander, Ricochet,
the Berserker, Sarah Logan. Finn Balor would have made sense, but they're just retconning the whole NXT thing. But anyway, Raiders in control early on. Styles interfered. OC work over Eric. Eric hits Styles with a backdrop, and they get the hot tag for Strowman. Strowman runs wild. Strowman runs into the ring post like he does every fucking match. Styles starts working the leg of Strowman, which I liked because people don't do that often with Strowman. He puts on the calf crusher, but Eric breaks it up. Strowman goes for the power slam. Gallows chop blocks Bryan. They just beat on OC for all of about 3 seconds, and then the ref DQs them. This is the worst decision of the night. I can't imagine they'll top this. Post-match, Raiders and OC fight on the outside with a big dive. Strowman counters a forearm with the right hand, and AJ is knocked the fuck out because Tyson Fury didn't really care.
I cannot believe that the WWE are about to sign Tyson Fury for a match
in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be the triple main event for Crown Jewel is going to be Brock versus Cain Velasquez, Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury, and Team Hogan versus Team Flair, because none of the people that work that are actual workers there, well, most of the lower mid card are refusing to going because they have morals or are women. So there's that then. But don't worry.
I had a thought about Team Hogan, Team Flair, which seems so obvious to me.
What, the New Day are going to fill out Team Hogan?
Correct. Mansoor is going to be the 5th man for Team Hogan.
That would make a lot of sense. Chad Gable over King Corbin. These two work so well together, so I don't mind them ever wrestling each other. Like, they could, because they gel, so...
I believe anybody ever said that this final was going to be a dud. Anyone who did that is, quite frankly, first in line to get sacked from this company.
Is it the same kind of person that would say that a certain classic R&B song from the 90s is not good?
Possibly. It's also the kind of person who would openly apply for one of our rivals.
Also a person that votes for the Conservatives. Hi, Josh. Thanks for live tweeting Hell in a Cell last night. Corbin calls him Shorty Gable, and I'm letting everyone know now that WWE trademarked the name Shorty G earlier this year, so get used to it. It's going to be his new name.
Just a little bit. A little bit more.
Like, I'm thinking Slam Master J levels, but if they make him into Gina G, all for it, personally. Gable wrestles Corbin, take control, locks on an ankle lock, which everyone's been doing tonight, but Corbin fights out of it. Corbin in control, Gable fights back, working the leg, brother, but Corbin hits a big power move to stay in control. Gable hits the Chaos Theory for a near fall. Corbin counters a Liger kick into a powerbomb for a near fall. Corbin hits Deep Six for a near fall. Gable counters the End of Days. It's a moonsault, again for a near fall. Gable ankle lock, Baron gets the ropes. Corbin hits a choke slam on the apron. He goes for his scepter, misses a shot, and Gable rolls him up for the win. It was a fun little match, so I have no problem with it whatsoever. By the way, Tamina's 24/7 champion. I legitimately wrote this down and then forgot what part during the show that Tamina had won the belt. She then lost it after Funaki got involved.
She won the belt during the Street Profits bit, because there was a Street Profits bit.
Oh, there was a Street Profits bit, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I generally forgot. I'm not going to lie. The main event kind of overrided my memory of everything that happened. So, yeah, R-Truth's 24/7 champion for the 20th time as well. But Tamina has won the belt. That's how they announced Tamina's return.
Massively telegraphed the next result.
Charlotte Flair over Bayley to win the SmackDown Live Women's title. I don't know how, but sure.
For the 10th time.
Oh, yeah. Multiples.
Nice round numbers, baby.
This was okay. I don't know why they've been building up Sasha and Bayley to have them both lose on pay-per-view, because I imagine Fox want all the big stars holding all the big belts, so there's that then.
Pointless. It's utterly pointless. Honestly, I thought that Becky would drop the Raw Championship. Becky would drop the Raw Championship and go to SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Like, the main event was one thing, but some of the booking on the show just baffled me, especially the win belt, because they're just, again, not as bad as they did with Kofi, but they've bitched out Bayley. Like,
yeah,
she's on the form of her life, and you have her drop the belt clean, not even like through fuckery of her own volition. You have her drop the belt clean to Charlotte, and have her then cry on basically mocking all the stories from WrestleMania.
Do you watch Billy and Mandy? Did you watch Billy and Mandy when you were younger?
I used to vaguely remember watching Billy and Mandy, yes.
I'll send you something later.
Okay. Flair and Control, I really hope it's not Rule 34. In Control until Bayley eye poke has him take over. Bayley works the leg.
Him take over.
It's been a long day of main event. I'm blaming everything on the main event, to be honest. Bayley works the leg, slamming it into the ring post. Bayley tries the figure four, but Flair counters it and starts working over Bayley's leg. We'll say one good point of the show: a lot of people working body parts, which is something that needs to be in wrestling. Charlotte moonsault. Bayley gets the knees up. Figure eight. Bayley gets the cradle for a near fall, though. Bayley uses ropes for a pin, but ref catches it. Flair boot. Figure eight for the win. Why? Bayley then cries post match again. Why?
Oh, do you want a point about people working over body parts?
Go on, because I don't want to talk about this match. So,
people work over body parts when they've only been told what they're about to do for an hour before, because it's a really basic wrestling skill, right?
Yeah, you are right. Backstage, Gable cuts a promo. Shorty Gable is now canon, and Corbin batters Gable. Let's talk about this main event.
Fuck.
The Fiend over Seth Rollins via disqualification in a fucking Hell in a Cell match.
Like, are there, do you think, levels of DQ? This is a no DQ match. In the corner to my left, it is needed Steve the Samurai, biggest babyface in this company. The corner to my right, it is Mr. Pumped Up Kicks himself, School McShooter, and then School McShooter pulls out a gun.
Yeah,
DQ match. No DQ matches.
No, this
pulls that out because people are about to die.
Yeah, but then what you do is you have it being you have the ref call the match off. They've done it before. They did it last year with Lesnar coming in. They just stopped. There was no contest of the match. They could have done that. The whole match was fine. I did not mind a single thing about this match. I know people were moaning about Bray selling, but he was getting up immediately after every move. Like, peak Kane in 97, Undertaker in 93 was not getting up as quick as Bray Wyatt was. He got hit with 14 curb stomps and was still getting up.
Bray didn't sell like a wrestler no selling. Bray sold like a horror antagonist.
Yeah, which was fine. The red kind of lighting around the cage was weird. I don't know why they did that, but sure.
I like that.
I didn't mind it. It was just a weird choice.
I think Bray kept saying, "See you in hell,"
which that's a fair point. And then also,
see you in hell.
Can I just point out, by the way, the WWE did a Twitter poll earlier this week saying, how do you think the Hell in a Cell match is going to end? And it said pinfall, submission, or disqualification. So we should have seen this fucking coming. Because WWE genuinely, and I don't want to be one of those people that does this stuff and go, I don't like WWE, because you know what? There were some things I liked in this match. I know that Josh, which you'll see in the review on TWM.news, gave it an F because of the finish. I wouldn't give this an F. I'd give it probably like a D, because I did like the match, but the finish was stupid. But WWE does generally think its fans are morons. they treat their fans less than.
Like,
it's baffling.
Fans get to vote on which match that we're going to have. A, a street fight. B, a full count anywhere. Or C, a no holds barred.
It's just... It's like
they've been treating their fans like shit for 10 years.
I know, and you'd think they'd learn now there's not just an alternative, but a legitimate alternative that isn't trying to put them out of business, but is like, we're gonna do a company that's gonna bring in the lapsed fan that could actually trouble them a little bit. Meanwhile, in their own company, their developmental brand is putting on better shows than they are. And yet Vince is still sitting there going, let's do a DQ and a Hell in a Cell match. People are going, yes, Vince. That's a great idea, Vince. Superb work, Vince.
It's such good shit.
It's just, oh my God. Like, genuinely, I'm going to run through several different ways they could have done this, and this was fine. If they had Seth do the hammer thing, the ref pull him away and shout, lift the cage, we need medics now. Fine. Bit bullshitty, not as bad as ending it in a fucking DQ. If they had, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant here, brace yourself. If they had Seth do the hammer thing, the lights go down, the laughter happens, and then the lights go back up again, and Bray's not there. Bullshit, but a better finish than a disqualification.
All that's left is an urn and a mask.
Like, or no, what you do, well, actually, alright, I'm going to put my booking hat on here. If you insist that you want to do a no contest on this show, and you want to continue this feud, you do everything you said. You have Seth Rollins batter Bray, but he keeps getting up, kicking out of one. I would have had him kick out of one in every single move, but by the by. Kick out of one, kick out of one, kick out of one, kick out of one, kick out of one. You then do the spot with the chair, the ladder, and the sledgehammer. He does that, bang! Lights go out, laughter, lights come back up, Seth is standing there, rambling rabbits underneath the chair. Seth's looking round, no idea what's going on. And then literally, you have it cut to black.
All right, Brian Alvarez. How did they salvage this?
Well, I'm not doing a Brian Alvarez because I watched his review and watched him just fall on the floor screaming, why? So, I don't want to... We brag on Wrestling Observer. Well, actually, One Part Observer. I fucking love Brian and Vinny. They are the shit. They are tremendous. Dave Meltzer, hit and miss. And go watch, they've put a video on the YouTube channel, go and watch their 8 minutes talking about the main event, because they just have a full-on breakdown. It's so funny. Like, go and check it out. How do you salvage this? How do you salvage this? I'm going to give a shout out to another guy for this, because generally, I heard it and I was like, generally, this is the only way they salvage this. Shout out to Johnny from New Legacy Inc. He went on a 28-minute rant on their Twitch channel last night.
Oh my God.
Just going off, because he doesn't watch WWE, but he loves The Fiend. He's like, I want to watch this match. So he like resubscribed to the network, all that stuff. And he's like, the only way they salvage this is if they open Raw with a Firefly Funhouse and it's Bray Wyatt waking up from a horrible dream and Hell in a Cell didn't happen. And they just redo Hell in a Cell next week.
Oh my God. That would be good.
It was just so... I'm not, like I said... There's no point going for the match because the finish ruined it. Go on, give your idea.
My idea was to have a Firefly Funhouse, not necessarily at the beginning. Do a Firefly Funhouse and just have Bray just be like, hey guys, look what I found. And it's the Universal title. That's what has spent the episode up until that point looking for it.
I'd like that. So basically, Bray nicks the belt.
Firefly Funhouse to get it back, or wait for the Fiend to come and find him to win it back.
Well, the thing is, though, they've already announced that you got Fiend versus Seth at Survivor Series.
I feel like they shat the bed a bit, and
did they delete that tweet as well? Did they put it out and then delete her immediately?
Oh, I don't know, but I feel like they shat the bed a bit. They saw the backlash and to do something. Yeah, they did delete it, I think.
But anyway, good to point. They tried to stretcher out the Fiend, but he claws Orton, Sister Abigail on the floor on concrete, and the claw, and Seth's bleeding. Fans chant AEW, restart the match, and refunds. And I wrote down, serves you fucking right. I will. You'll see this on the podcast on the post if you see it on TWM.news, because I got sent a photo that's just made me laugh. If I'm honest, I'm going to try and find the photo again. I know I've got it saved somewhere. It's if you have the audio description on for the WWE Network, when it cuts to black, all you see at the bottom in brackets with a musical note is just the phrase "crowd boos." Which is just incredible. Anyway, don't need to give thoughts, because we kind of got our thoughts. Overall grade, Joe?
C- at best.
I feel like you're being really generous, because I'd give this a D.
I am being really generous because I enjoyed Orton Ali. I really enjoyed the first Hell in a Cell match. I don't even think that the decision was the worst decision in the world. It was just poorly executed.
Yeah. I give it a D because this is tantamount to basically doing an exam, giving half decent answers up until the final question, and then just going, you know what, I'm just going to shit on the last question and hand it in. I'm just going to poo on the last page and just hand it in and see how they deal with this. Because they tried to give us a passable B show and then shit on everyone at the end.
I used to write really, really beautiful English exams that were only out of the length required.
Yeah.
And I used to get D's. So
basically, this pay-per-view an equivalent of one of your English exams.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So there we go. You got a choice. You can either tweet Joe and ask him for a copy of one of his English exams, or you can watch Hell in a Cell. Take your pick, I guess. If you want to get in touch with us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at TWM Wrestle. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, Acast, YouTube. YouTube goes up a little bit later, because obviously we've got to put it all together and stuff. Schmitty's got to do things and press buttons and algorithms. On TWM News this week, you can go read Josh's review of Hell in a Cell. You can read Ryan's 5 Things You Learned, which will be out later than planned. Unfortunately, you can't get it out until Tuesday, so you can check that out. You can go check out something, if you're a fan of the whole Lashley Lana thing from last week. You can read 5 Bizarre Wrestling Romances from Shailene. Go and check that out at twm.news. This week, Tuesday, you've got Raw Talk with Dan and Peter. Wednesday, Indie Wrestling Show with myself, Mike, and Victoria. Thursday, you've got Wednesday Night War with George and Josh. Friday, you've got Best of the Rest with McIver, maybe me, and some other people, whoever's talking about NXT UK and Total Divas, because Total Divas is hilarious. And by the way, thank you for all the... Sorry, Joe. I say all the lovely messages we've had from everyone saying they've really enjoyed our Total Divas reviews. So we're going to keep doing it because it's so much fun. Sorry, Joe, what was you going to say?
We're on top of the world.
It's very hard to get out of your head once you've watched that show. Joe, social media.
At Jack the Jobber, tweet him why Kiss from a Rose slaps.
Everyone do that, please, and tell him that TWM Wrestle sent you. I'm a Matty ID. We are at TWM Wrestle. Next week's TWM Talks is a fantastic one, as one of our newest signings, Shirley, sat down with Big Swole, Aaron Monroe. It's a fantastic interview. It's really, really fascinating and really, really funny. We've got loads of interviews coming up over the next few weeks and months, so definitely check that one out next week. It's another interview from TWM Talks. Subscribe, rate, review. TWM News, 10% off for all your Squared Circle Bots goodness at squaredcirclebots.com. Merch! Go and get some merch. Click on the shop tab on twm.news and go get some brand new TWM wrestling merch. And until... we'll be back on Saturday for Smack Talk, and we'll be back in some form of capacity throughout the week on TWM Wrestling Podcasts. Until next Monday, thank you for listening.